Hey everyone, we're gonna go over this build real quick. We've got it to the point where I'm gonna put it up in the final-ish form. There's still some tweaking going around, but I'm gonna be away for a week. So I wanted to leave you guys with something usable here. Wow, bad mods. Give you some gameplay. Dream, what do we got here? Randomly change the, yeah, why not? Up you go. Nothing happened. Awkward. All right. So the gameplay is you just hold down your movement, whatever that is. For me, it's my mouse. If you're on the phone, you would hold down your thumb, I guess, and move your character around. And that's it. You don't have to push anything else. Everything else is fully automated. And you just walk through the map. This is an 8-4. As you can see, it's monster level 90 in the top corner there. You I do kill the monsters. I might have left one or two up because I wasn't paying attention and trying to walk through it quickly, but as you can see, it doesn't take very long to kill. Even the rares, maybe an extra second or two. So it's a very fun build. It moves very quickly, it blows up the world, and bosses die all at once. All right, let's dive into the meat of it and where we ended up with everything. So we'll start off with our talents. Not much has changed here. We're still in the Goddess of Hunting. Still have the damage. We went more into the life here. Movement speed up the top there. We go all the way here for our shock settles. And additional max damage. We are now always on paralyzed because Flicker does nothing for us. We're not using mobility skills. And I like rushed. I do like the movement speed. I do like the additional damage. It's just really good. I have been messing around with this one, but I personally like rushed. If you like to play around with it, you can give it a try. We go into Blade Runner. We got lightning damage, life, crit strike, more life, and up there. Down here, we got our life regain. Very important to keeping us alive. Lightning penetration for critical strikes, and shock settles additional. Up here, we got conductive and a queer angle. Down in Warlock is where we have most of our points. We got 3 into the damage there. Skill effect duration. We got sealed mana, life regain, and crit strike rating all in that row there. We got damage with this. This one I'm messing around with. The additional ailment damage when inflicting double damage doesn't do much for us, but the 6% chance to deal double damage is nice. Can we drop this one for 3 points somewhere else? Probably. Do you need to level all the way up here to get these 3 points? Not really, but yeah, so this is the one you can play around with if you really don't like it. Over here, we got the cooldown and the max charges, very important. We got all skill levels. We got movement, well, we have blur and 100% chance to gain blur on defeat. And then upon inflicting damage with ailments, that goes up. All our ailment damage. Here we have indifference because everything is cooldown reliant because we're automated. Everything's automated. It runs on a cooldown. Having more cooldown reduction is good times. Finally, we're going to end up with dirty tricks. This is going to apply all our debuffs, which will give us, all five of the ailments up. Will give us our 5 times multiplier and will lead to more damage. As for the slates, I guess we were right there. We'll go into it. So the slates, you're going to want to look for a verbal abuse pedigree. All right. Combo that with joint force. Now, there are other ways to get it. The additional curse, you can use a candle. You can get it on your chest, or you can use a pet. I'm currently using the pet option because I pulled it in the promo pack that's on sale right now. But so I'm able to use a kinetic conversion instead of verbal abuse. However, you're going to need the verbal abuse. I recommend on your slate, your pedigree. It's going to be very expensive because everybody wants verbal abuse on their pedigree. But if you can get it, you're going to look for something like this. These 2 are garbage. Don't worry about that. This one, on the other hand, all goes together. Kinetic conversion. We get an extra barrier shield. We're dealing extra damage to life. It's just a really good pedigree for me. Here we have our corner. This is our double shock. We can only have this once each, so I got them both on a corner. I needed a corner. It worked out. And it's settling shock extra times. We got this again, still going on. Now we have it dealing lightning damage, so it's actually helping us. This will balance out everything touching it. All of these have new God Slates. As you can see, if you click here for talents affected, all of them are getting buffed. So it kind of works. Will we replace this? Yes. Is there better ways of setting this up? Probably. We're going to get a spark in here, but it works for now. We have this slate over here with the additional max damage, the added lightning damage to attacks and spells. We got the chaos, the order buff going over here, both for spell damage and additional max, as well as chance to deal double damage. The slate is actually really, really good. So if you can get one of those, that'd be kind of cool too to match it. This slate, on the other hand, not so good. This one's just kind of giving us paralysis when we hit the curse, so it's an extra 10% buff, which we like. Everything else is not that great. Crit rating's okay. This is okay. We don't even really use defensive skills, and we get additional spell damage, so that's why that's there, getting buffed by the center here. Finally, we got the crit strike rating per order, the sealed mana ×2, which is making us able to reserve as much mana as we are. In a perfect world, I'm trying to find a way to get even more mana reserved, and we'll get into that. All right, let's jump into our skills. So we ended up on Thunderbolt Overload. We're using the rhythm. Ideally, you're looking for as low of a trigger time as you can, with as high as an up to as you can. The up to is more important, I think, than the damage on the hit, because eventually you want to have the maximum hit. But the big thing we're looking for is a nice small cooldown. So the faster this procs, the better. This isn't our main source of damage. Having higher damage here is nice and great, and that's what we're aiming for, but it's not a big deal. The big deal here is having at least a 0.5 or lower second trigger. All right, we're going to have it giving us a mark. It's going to be splitting everywhere, as well as electric punishment to have it settle shock damage in additional time. Over here, we have a medium. Now, this one you can do in two different ways. I have a few options, as you can see here. We have the midlife one. If you are not killing things fast enough, this will make it so you don't burn through your charges quickly. This one's also, if you're really comfortable, you can go all the way down to 40%. Now, if you're clearing everything quickly like we were, you're going to get your charges back. So we're going to use a 93%. So this is going off all the time, but we're always getting our charges back. While this is happening, we're using Limber Stretch, which is making it last longer, giving us movement speed, as well as Residues, which is keeping the effect going longer and keeping it on us, even though we hit full life. We have Fixate here. We want to activate it with this. You want to make sure you have additional cooldown recovery roll on this, not the reduced, not the duration one. You want the cooldown recovery. And then this gets automated with a Mania and a well-fought battle. We have our curse with the motion. Honestly, these are really cheap, and I didn't even min-max these yet, so you can probably optimize these. But at the end of the day, my curses are always active, and that's the key thing that's important. So as long as you always see your two circles curses around you, they're good enough. You want to min-max it. Of course, you want additional cooldown recovery, maybe duration. But really, as long as they're active, they're always up. That's good enough. You're going to combo that with Abysmal Hatred and Terran of Malice for both of those. This is our main skill. We're doing Thunder Imbue. Everything goes around it. It's very, very, very important that you have precise. If you don't have precise Thunder Imbue, everything falls apart because you can't shock. Precise Thunder Imbue cannot shock. Regular Thunder Imbue cannot shock. So you need precise. Precise Thunder Imbue can shock, and that's very important for us. It doesn't need to be 21. You can get a level 16 and level it up to 20, but it does need to be precise, so you should buy that. We're going to put an ailment termination on that, electric overload, imbue enhancement, turret, and a critical strike damage around it to support. Now we have our flame spirit. All right, so this is coming out. It's going to give us some critical strike rating, which is nice. We're going to use our precise protection field. It has to be precise. This way it will give us a taunt, which is an extra layer of defense, as well as transferring 9% of the damage to the minion. We are going to buff it up with superpower, so now we're getting more critical strike rating from our buff. And because we want to buff up our crit rating, we're now going to do this because we can afford to have a second Spirit Maggie. Same thing, we put a precise protection field on it. We get another taunter as well as another 9%. And we get to buff up our crit rating over here. If you don't have the mana, see how I had a lot of sealed mana in my candles and stuff. If you can't afford this, this is what you cut. Don't run the second elemental. Just cut this, and you don't need spirit. You cut this support as well, and just these two supports. supports. So that's how you can save some mana if you can't match my mana. Cut off the Frost Spirit and cut off that support. If you have more mana than me, you can upgrade your skill here and throw a superpower in there. I can't support it, but if you can, I'm trying to get there. That'll just give you a little bit more life regen. It's not a big deal, but we really don't have anywhere else to put more supports in with our extra energy that we have. And finally, we're going to end up on precise elemental amplification. Doesn't need to be precise. You can use a regular elemental amplification, but if it's precise, we're going to get an extra little bit of penetration, which is nice. We're going to put it concentrated, an aura amplification, a selfishness on the support. Once you can support the mana, you can put in malleable, but make sure it's precise malleable. That way, it's for rare monsters as well. So going through the map, you'll have a boosted aura. If you use regular malleable, going through mapping and stuff, which most of the time you'll be doing, you'll actually be nerfing your aura with this, and you'll only be buffing it when you're fighting a boss. So you have to make sure you buy the precise malleable to use it. If you're not using the precise malleable, I wouldn't use it. Just leave it open. You can use stand as one. It's only hitting one aura, but it is an option. All right, for our candles, you're looking for lightning skills and additional damage for every 8 meters movement. As you don't really want avoid all the bad stuff you can. I do have 2 of those. I'm trying to get a third mod in here. Now, third mods could be something like cooldown recovery, a soul eater candle. You can cast an additional curse. We talked about you could use a curse here. So you don't have to use the pet to get your 2 curses going. So those are your options. You have some, but these are the ones that I landed on, and that's what's giving me my damage. These aren't perfect, as you can see. We're still working on them. All right, now the gear. Big things that center around is this bad boy, Ominous Gift. Main thing, you want to get this corruption as high as you can, preferably 300%. And if you can get a double corruption, you're going to want to get this to as high as 160 because you're buffing the base. If you're buffing the base, then this gets higher and this effect becomes better. We're buffing this damage over here. We're sending it all the way over here. And now we're adding that to our base shock. And what that's doing is giving us a base shock of close to 2,000, just under that. And that's then ramping us up. So here you don't want that top corrosion. Ideally, you just need this one as high as you can. In a perfect double corrosion world, you would have the bottom 2 corrupted. As for our exemptional thunder shell, you're looking for this mod to get it as high as close to 180 as you can, as well as this one. You want the 4%. Make sure that you get the 4% there. In a perfect world, you have them double corrupted, both perfect, but it's easier said than done. You're looking for a stalker belt with the movement speed on your base. On here, you're going to want your cooldown recovery, your damage penetrates elemental resistance, life, and then you're going to use this as a resistance stick to balance out your resistances. Here, I haven't done it yet, but ideally, we're going to try and tier 0, the damage penetrates, remove the max mana mod, and then puts a reduced damage taken while at low mana. Over here, you're looking for max life, deflection, max life over here, movement speed, cooldown recovery, and you want to get, ideally, the legendary Dreamweave. What happened here was I hit 2 tier 0 crafts in a row, but I blemished the last one, and you need at least a tier 4 here. So without a tier 4 here, you can't do the legendary. However, if there's a blemish there, you can do the regular Dreamweave. So we ended up with having to go with the regular, and it's giving us the movement speed, which is what we want, but it is making us lose some crit rating. So ideally, you're aiming for the legendary Dreamweave mod. Over here on our gloves, same thing. We haven't fully finished them, but the base is here. We want to have the fervor. It doesn't need to be 0. You just want to have fervor is important. The damage penetrates, life, then you use it as a resistance balancing stick, and then you're going to want to add same thing. We haven't finished it. You want to aim for the legendary one. The legendary one, I think, can go up to 7%, whereas the normal dream interpretation one can only go up to 1 or 2. So we ended up here. We are going to fix this when we come back from our trip, but that's what you're aiming for there. On your chest, you want to dream it to be immune to ailments. This will trigger our relic, which we'll get into right after this. So that's what you want to dream on that. Corpse boom booms, you don't need it. If you don't want this, if you don't need the extra AoE in the mapping, you can put in a reduce damage taken mod or converts damage to elemental mod or regain mod or regeneration mod, some form of more tanky mod. But as you've seen, we just put both our lives here and we went for the boom boom because it's fun. Down here, you want to have a tier 0 curse, elemental resistance, and then again, you can put your here additional curse if you need to. If you can't fit it on your candle or you're not going to use the pet, you can cast one extra curse down here and balance your resistance somewhere else. Your necklace, you're looking for lightning skills, sealed mana. Here we're going to try and get another a tier 1. You want life, but as you can see, it's only a tier 6. Ideally, we wanted higher. We'll come back to do a crafting. Erosion resistance, elemental resistance here. If you still need resistance, I recommend putting resistance down here. If you've balanced out your resistance, then go for the chance to deal double damage. It's great. Try and get it as high as you can. This is going to be a hard craft for me to finish, so hopefully we can. Finally, on our helmet, you can use a different base. It doesn't need to be the crit strike rating here. You can use, there's an energy shield helm, actually. So if you're willing to sacrifice some armor, you can actually get a +1 all skills helm, which might actually be better than the crit rating here. But with the armor, going with our theme, it's keeping us alive. We're going to stick with this for now, but you can try that plus skills helmet out if you want. Here we got the minus sealed mana, the plus support skills, the life, cooldown recovery, curse effect are the 2 big ones you want here as well, and then whatever resistance you need to round out your resistance. So that goes over our gear and our candles. Finally, we have our relic. As we talked about, you cannot become immune to shock. However, we are immune to ailments, and a shock is an ailment. So while we are immune to shock, which we are because we are immune to ailments, we become immune to shock damage. So we are no longer hurting ourselves. So that's kind of important. It gives us a base shock of 33. On the bottom mod, we're looking for when shock is owned, you gain base hit damage, and that goes to your shock for every 5% movement up to 4%. You're looking for your activates hero trait lightning fast memory, the cap power generation. And preferably you want the actual one, not the prototype. The prototype will work if that's all you can afford or use right now until you find this one, but this is what you're aiming for. For your modded mods here, we're looking for chance to trigger feline figure, and that's nice. You have 2 options here, or the other option is get the movement speed. The main meat we're looking for is the bottom mod here, and you're looking for a 5 meters up to 5. All right, you don't want a 6 meters, 4. It doesn't really matter. But if you're looking for the perfect one, you're looking for a 5-5. And here's the same thing, but as I said, we have the movement speed over there. Our talents, we go up and down just like that. And there you guys go. That, I believe, is everything we got as our game. Oh, yeah. So the pet I was mentioning is this guy. This gives you the additional curse. You can cast an additional curse. If you don't have this pet, it's not a big deal. You can, like I said, you can use the candle. You can put it, craft it on your chest, or you can use verbal abuse pedigree instead of the kinetic conversion pedigree. And you just swap that in. All right, guys, let me know what you guys think of the build. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this had everything you needed to get going. Sadly, I won't be here for a week, but normally if you do have any questions, you can leave them in the comments and I do get back to them, or you can join me live over on my Twitch. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next update.